This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. I'm Amber, and today my handsome and stunning and very knowledgeable co-host is Mr. Eric Neher. He is the CMO of Canopy, and I don't want to ruin it, but if you want to know what the device is that I've been preaching for like the past 1,000 years that I've been alive, it's this device here. It is a humidifier. If you don't have one, I don't even know why you're listening to any of my podcasts, because you're clearly not serious about skincare. No, that was kind of harsh. Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. I feel like this is going to be such a fun conversation because we both obviously geek out about beauty. So when you meet a kindred spirit geek, it's way more fun.
Not only beauty, but we geek out specifically on humidifiers, right? So you're
Totally.
involved in the creation of this, little packed powerhouse, which I feel like you can't go on Instagram, you can't go on a beauty blogger site these days without hearing about Canopy. I feel like it is popped up everywhere. I know that you actually did a special collaboration with another beauty podcaster, which was really adorable. So congrats on the success of this, first of all.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been so exciting for us to see. We launched this business in October of 2020. So we actually launched during the pandemic. When COVID first started becoming a thing and came into everybody's consciousness earlier in 2020, my partners who I launched the business with, of course, we had to take stock and we had to say, is this the right time to launch a new consumer business? But considering there are no real silver linings about COVID, but considering that everybody has been at home so much more, we did push forward because this is a device that ultimately is going to improve the quality of your life at home. And of course, we can dive
Absolutely.
into skin and wellness and all the other ways. But we launched in October of 2020, and we've just blown through every expectation that we had for this product and for our brand. So it's been really fun and exciting.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. So I was super excited to get this, and when I heard about this, and when it was delivered, I'm not going to lie, because we keep it on. I was surprised at like how itty bitty it was, but man, does this pack a big punch for such a tiny device? And normally, we're going to get into the skin benefits, because in case you couldn't tell at the beginning, to me, a humidifier is the thing to spend your money on and to have in your beauty arsenal. It should be the number one thing. Like, forget about your cleanser and your moisturizer, because if you're not in a humid environment, your products are just not going to be working. Like, if you're just doing yourself a disservice. It'd be like saying, I don't know, I can't even think. To me, it's so mind blowing when people don't have it. In fact, I went into a girlfriend's house, not to go too far off, and it's a friend of mine who spends a lot of money not only on her beauty products, and I'm talking a lot of money on her beauty products, but also on her clothes. And in New York, I feel like most buildings have two temperatures in the winter. It is windows open and windows shut, right? Because a lot of it
Absolutely.
radiator heat, and it's just dry. That radiator heat is really, really dry. And I was like, oh, where's girl, it's time to get the humidifier out. And she's like, I don't have one. I'm not going to name names because you know who you are. But I was like, what do you mean you don't have a humidifier? Like, how do you even wake up without a bloody nose and like not kill yourself in the winter?
Right.
Um,
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned the size of our unit, and I think it hits on something that, we thought a lot about during the product development phase. Ultimately, when my partners and I, when we started exploring the category of humidifiers, we found out so many interesting things about this category. And first of all, we found that there are very distinct pain points that existing customers of humidifiers had with the products that they were using. So
okay.
like the humidifier being too big, bulky, and ugly was like a top complaint that people had. And then the other complaints were that they're just impossible to maintain. So,
Right.
typically humidifiers take a lot of maintenance, a lot of cleaning, and they can grow mold very, very easily, which is a
Right.
top concern of customers. And so there were a few thoughts that we had around building a new humidifier. First of all, what we wanted to do was go down that checklist of pain points and just one by one go through and say, okay, how can we solve for each one of these pain points that people have so that we just give people the best experience? And then the second big pillar of our thinking was around this beauty and wellness focused consumer, like you and me, who is really doing everything that they can to build the best skincare and sort of health and wellness routine at home. But your story is an interesting story because it illustrates that so many people who have these best in class skincare routines don't know about optimal indoor humidity and how much of an impact it actually has on the health of the skin. And
Right.
so there were two big things we wanted to do with this. We wanted to, first of all, just create the cleanest and easiest humidifier in the world that people would actually love the experience of using, as opposed to hate, like the benefits, but hate the experience, which is what most people had been experiencing with their existing models. And then number two, sort of change the positioning of a humidifier for the consumer from something that was maybe just something that you would take out, like let's say your kid had a cold, and you
Right.
pull out the humidifier and you have to use distilled water and it only comes out in the winter or when things are especially dry. Really change that to be a tool that you can use in your home 365 days a year, all day and all night, to improve the quality of your health and of your skin.
So by the way, I mean, I don't want to like date myself or age myself. Because like I said before, I'm 1,000 years old, essentially. I remember though, so vividly as a kid, and maybe I'm so passionate about humidifiers because my mother always had one going. And I'm talking about the old school Vicks one that was like that giant tub and then had that weird brown thing that you'd put down. And then I remember when they
I
came
had
out.
the same one.
Right. And when you got sick, they made like this menthol stuff that stunk. And it was like that hot air humidifier that your mom would be like, okay, get close to this, but not too close because you'd burn your face off because it was only hot. Do you remember this?
So funny that this is exactly the same experience. So we must be like right around, I've a thousand.
Uh,
That's close to how old I am too. So we're right there next to each other.
Amazing. And now listen, did you grow up in sort of the Northeast region? Yeah.
I
Okay.
did. I grew up in the suburbs outside of New York City, so we had really
Okay.
cold, dry winters.
Same. Me too. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
So you get it. Because, well, listen, if you grow up in a place like Florida, but even Florida, seasonal humidity changes. But in New York,
So
yeah.
no, I'll say something interesting, which is that now that my life has become all about humidifiers and devices for the home. I actually have a hygrometer, which is a
Me
device that
too.
measures that.
Me
I love
too.
that.
Uh-huh.
And I was in Florida last year for much of the winter actually, and I had my hygrometer with me obviously, and I also of course had my Canopy humidifier. But in the winter in Florida and with the AC running all the time, because my
Right.
fiance actually really really loves AC, so we always have to have it on as long as it's above like 65 degrees. Um, with the AC, that hygrometer was showing that the humidity was actually the indoor humidity was dropping below 40%, which
Sure.
we say that optimal indoor humidity is between 40 and 60%. And
Right.
another kind of geeky piece of information is that relative humidity is measured as a percent, and at 100%, the water would become air. So the higher that you get on that scale means the air has more moisture. So at 100%, the air would become water. And so as you sort of build up that scale, the indoor relative humidity increases and the moisture content in the air is going to increase. So ideally you want to be between 40 and 60% for the optimal health of your skin and of your body.
So I'm going to throw something else on here for anybody who is in a warmer climate. Your air conditioners are meant and designed to pull humidity out of the air. That's why, again, from New Yorkers, you always get that mystery drip from somebody's air conditioner. It's because they're actually designed to be pulling humidity out of the air. So you want to be adding it back into the air in any way that you can, because it's going to make such a difference on your skin. So I want to talk about the hygrometer because I also have one. And, it was the first thing that I whipped out. Now I tried this in my bedroom because normally now this little guy lives right there. You can see next to those plants, which are very, very happy to have this next to them. And I love it because, which we'll talk about later, we've got this scent on here, which is so lovely. But I put it in my bedroom because that's where I keep my hygrometer. And for me at night, that's where the humidifier has to live. And I think it started. So for me, as soon as I hear the clanging of New York pipes, which means the heat is being turned on in buildings, that's when I pull it out. I admittedly don't keep it out all year round. normally because they were big and clunky, although this one now will probably just stay out 365. But I brought it out. It was 30 in my room, turned on this little bad boy, walked away and was like, there is no way this little guy is going to be pumping out enough thing. And I went back in and it was at 52. So it cranks. It cranks. And, you know,
Yeah.
you can walk in the room and I immediately feel the difference. I don't know now if it's because I'm so spoiled, but when I go to a place that doesn't have a humidifier, I was recently in a location where I was shooting something and having to host on, and talk quite a bit. And I said, boy, must be a really dry location. And they said, yeah. And I had to have water nearby because it will actually I don't know, I guess I'm like a delicate little flower, but I was like, so dry.
Right. You kind of got that like dry throat. And a
You
lot of
need a
people suffer
canopy.
from
Yeah.
a lot of people suffer from dry eyes too, and
Right.
increasing the indoor humidity will help with that as well. And you know what you said about our humidifier really working to increase the indoor humidity. It is small but mighty, and it's small by design because we do think that we want people to keep this on their bedside. We want people to keep it in their bedroom. We're supposed to sleep 8 hours. I don't know how many of us really get 8 hours of sleep, but you're sleeping for a good portion of the day, right? And so
Right.
of the day of the 24 hours of the day. And so if I think it's really simple for people to imagine, if the air is dry, your skin has moisture in it, and the air is looking for moisture wherever it can find it. And so it's just
Exactly.
going to be sucking moisture out of your skin. And so that's why I hear so many people who tell me, well, I'm using all the best products and like I slather myself in hyaluronic acid before I go to bed, but I still wake up with some flakiness. My personal problem is redness.
Right.
Like I'll wake up with redness, dryness. And actually, there's a study from the Skin Health Alliance that shows that a dry indoor climate can actually contribute to the formation of lines and wrinkles in as little as 30 minutes. So it doesn't take a long time. Like you only have to be in dry air for a short period of time for it to have a negative impact on your skin.
I wonder how many
And
people
so
literally just left this podcast and immediately was like, canopy.com. 30,
lines and wrinkles,
30
no.
minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of what we learned about, how the indoor humidity and our humidifier specifically can impact your skin, we learned in partnership with our consulting dermatologist, who's Dr. Dendi Engelman,
Love Dr.
who
Dundee. She's the
yeah,
best.
Dr. Dendi at Dr. Dendi on Instagram. And we worked with her to develop the features of the humidifier, and also to do all of the research to understand how we could communicate all of the benefits. And so the benefits are the list just goes on and on. But to sort of digest it, or make it as succinct as possible for people, basically, this is going to naturally hydrate your skin all day long. You will get a
Yes.
baseline of hydration that you wouldn't get if you weren't running this. And so it's going to combat all of the skin issues that come from dehydration, which basically everything on the list: redness, dryness, roughness, uneven texture, all comes
Um,
from dehydration.
And I want to just hop in here, think about cracked lips. So for me, if I wake up and I'm in a place that doesn't have that humid environment and I'm sleeping at night, how many times have you woken up and you're like, I'm thirsty, and your mouth is dry and your nose is dry, right? And you
Right.
get nosebleeds, your hands too. It's not just the skin right here, it's the skin all over your body. Your hands, especially mine in the winter, are so susceptible to being chapped. You need to add the humidity back in to protect that skin barrier.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the skin barrier is exactly what's affected by the hydration. You're properly hydrated, you have a well-functioning skin barrier, and that means that your skin barrier is going to protect you from pollutants and irritants, and that it's also going to absorb your topical products more effectively when the barrier is working properly. So that's
Right.
why, people say when they start to use the humidifier, they're like, oh, and my night cream, it just felt, when I woke up, it just felt, my skin felt so much more bouncy and supple. People see that their topical products start working better for them as well when they start using the humidifier.
That is, I mean, I listen, speaking from my own experience, and I have to give a shout out to my mom right now. Thank you so much, because she always had a humidifier running when I was, a little kid, and I have continued that since. I really can't, I just can't believe that not everybody knows this, but I'm hoping if you're somebody out there who doesn't have one, they are a game changer. they're absolutely a game changer. But there are certain features, now that we've covered sort of the beauty aspects, there are certain features that you want to be careful of, because I know you touched on this before. If you're not taking care of them properly, they can lead to things like mold. You have to change the filters. You want to be careful. I know that it can be confusing. It's like there's ultrasonic, there's hot mist, there's cool mist. Can you kind of run through some of the features and sort of why you developed this? And by the way, thank you, because the first thing when I pulled it out and my husband came in, he's like, isn't that adorable? And it is. And you're right. So for all of us fashionistas and beauty people, like who want something that's not ugly in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad to hear that not only you, but also your husband thought the design was nice. So when it comes to humidifiers, most people are familiar with the ultrasonic technology that you mentioned. And that is the type of technology where you see that sort of chimney of mist coming out of the machine. And I think a lot of customers say, oh, I see the mist and I'm really happy because I know it's working and I know it's hydrating the space. What people should be wary of is that what that technology does is it takes the water that's in the basin and an ultrasonic element essentially whips up the water and spits it out of the machine as a mist. And what happens is that anything that's in the water, so that could be, right, we live in New York City, so there are some
Minerals.
dissolved metals in the water, minerals, there can be dust in the water, there can even be bacteria and mold in the water. And that's actually just getting spit out into your air along with the mist that you see. So our humidifier.
Yeah, you know what, if you've ever had one of these, because I have in the past, you will actually start to see like little white dots around the area, because that is things like the minerals coming back down and reforming.
You're, I think, our most educated humidifier consumer that I have met to date.
Eric,
You know
I
all the
do
facts.
not lie. My passion is humidifiers. I've worked in beauty and fashion my entire life, and this is the one thing that I'm like, preach. I will preach.
I mean,
welcome to the Church of Amber, and this is our gospel right here.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
So we use evaporative technology with the Canopy humidifier, and what that means is that the water that's in the tank, which is the clear part that those of you who are actually watching can see in Amber's unit, the water comes through the tank and then is actually run through a paper filter, which sits inside of there we have the tank. And then it actually also runs through the paper filter. And this is so great because it's clear you've been using your filter for a little while.
Yeah,
because
you can see the minerals up here.
Right, a little discoloration. So our filter starts as a bright white, but then as soon as you start using it after a few days, you'll start to see that it gets a little bit discolored. And that's all of those things that you don't want ending up in the air. They're being caught on the filter. And then what happens next is pretty simple. A fan just uses the natural process of evaporation to evaporate the water into the air off of that filter. And it's invisible. You don't see mist. And that's, you received our humidifier. Obviously you read, all the welcome materials that come in the packaging. That's the first thing that we tell people, because we know people are going to be expecting to see a mist coming out, and we want to educate them about why the mist-free type is better.
Right.
So we're like a mist-free, we're starting a mist-free movement in humidifiers. We're anti-mist and we're also anti-mold. So we developed proprietary technology to stop mold from growing in the unit. The technology is called Smart Persistent Airflow, but we call it SPA for short. And what that means is, so going back to those ultrasonic humidifiers or all traditional humidifiers, they're really designed to run and stop running when there's a little bit of water still left inside the basin, because if they run when they're completely dry, they'll break. And so we sort of flip that on its head. And there's sensors inside of the Canopy humidifier that sense if there is any water left inside the system. And if there's water left inside the system, then the system knows to keep running until it's completely dry inside. So I don't know whether you have ever experienced, like, you kind of leave for a few hours during the day and you get back and it's shut off. And then if you go inside and you shut off and you run your finger along any of the parts inside, you find that it's completely dry.
It's dry.
And that's how,
you know what?
that's how we prevent mold.
When I was saying this before, I said, okay, when I got this, and we keep it real here. So, and they've discontinued this, but my favorite humidifier prior to learning about this one was the Honeywell 350 M1. They don't even make it anymore. It was a phenomenal humidifier, very similar sort of in style and function, much bigger, much less attractive, but you had to change those filters because I would let it run. It had this lovely tank, which I love this because it's so easy to pull this over, fill it up at the sink. And it looked very similar, but now that you're pointing it out, it would stay wet. And those filters, you had to be on top of them because they would mold. And I would try to run it. You taught me something today because I would try to run it knowing, oh, well, if it keeps running and it gets dry, great, but it wouldn't do that. So it was built to turn off.
Yeah. So
this is got it. So this is going to run until it's dry. So there's no mold. Hallelujah.
Exactly. So that we just made it a lot easier for people. We also thought about, as I mentioned, like, I mean, I've spent my entire career designing products for the beauty consumer. I'm a huge beauty nerd myself. I love the beauty customer. You know, it's my whole life's passion is around serving the beauty customer and serving them well. And we designed features to make it easy for the beauty customer to use this all the time. Another thing that we built into the technology is, I mentioned that overnight is a time when, first of all, while you're sleeping, right, transepidermal water loss is faster. It happens at a faster rate than when you're awake. And also when we're awake during the day, we're doing other things to hydrate ourselves, like drinking water. And, you know, some of us like, well, I'll sometimes spray like a hyaluronic mist on my face, like throughout the day. There we go. But what happens is that overnight, your skin actually needs more moisture than we do during the day. And so there's also a sensor built into the unit that senses whether there's any light in the room. And if it's dark in the room, then the Canopy humidifier kicks into a higher setting so that you get more moisture overnight. Then when it gets light in the morning, it'll go back down to a lower setting so that while you're up and during the day and drinking your water like you just were, you're not wasting water from the tank. So it's really designed to be on all the time, set it and forget it. And the last thing that I'll mention about the features is that when you won't get mold inside, but when you do get a little bit of residue, because there's water there, so there'll be a little bit of residue on some of the plastic parts. The parts that touch water, you can throw all of those into the dishwasher.
This is my favorite. That was a game changer for me. Into the dishwasher. Thank you.
I'm so glad you've liked that part too.
Yes.
Yeah. So we really made it easy. And then the last thing, you know, from a feature standpoint that I would also call out, you know, you talked a little bit about the fragrance and the aromas. So we also incorporated an aroma diffusion feature into the product. And this also uses sort of a unique way of diffusion. So this is the little puck, the little disc that Amber just showed is it's a little ceramic disc. And it is made from a ceramic material called diatomite, which is a totally natural material. And all you have to do to diffuse aromas with the humidifier is to drop some aromas onto the puck. And the ceramic absorbs the oil, and then it's just evaporated into the air around you along with that hydrated air that's coming out of the humidifier. And
can I also just say this stuff smells so good. This is the Unwind. Oh, I love.
So glad you like that. So we expected that people were going to like this feature, but people have picked it up way more than we even expected. We thought it was going to be a nice to have, but people have really loved using this feature. And so we have developed our own line of aroma oils, and we also regularly partner with other brands. Currently, we have a collaboration running with Prose, the hair care brand. And what we did was we translated 3 of their most favorite fragrances from their hair care products to be diffused with the humidifier. And we also launched an aroma diffuser on its own, a standalone aroma diffuser that is not a humidifier, but it is a totally waterless and mistless aroma diffuser for people who also love to diffuse aromas throughout their house. And that's the way we extended the line earlier this year.
You know, I was kind of always on the fence with aroma diffusers, but I who doesn't love a scent? And somebody pointed out the other day, do you want to be burning a candle? You know, not to knock the candle industry, but you know, you're putting you know, toxins into the air by burning.
Right. Candles. And there's a risk, honestly, of a fire too, you know, so we find that a lot of people are moving away from candles, even though I agree with you. I'm looking at my candles right now. I have so many great candles.
They're like right up there. I know. I love but I love it all. But you know, it's also nice. And listen, I think now um, wellness has become, it's just so integrated into our lives. And we are spending more time at home. I know some people are going back to the office. Lucky for you. Oh, can you hear that? That's the heat on. I don't know if you're hearing clanking, but New
Oh my
York
gosh,
heat
it's
is
happening.
coming on.
It's
Better run,
happening.
turn this back off, or turn this back on. But I feel like now it's like we need to be doing everything we can to sort of help our environments to feel good. This to me is such a no-brainer. Um, and yeah, I love, so the aroma, I haven't tried your aroma diffusers yet.
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to send you one,
That's
Amber,
super
so you can give it a
exciting.
try. Yeah.
Are there certain scents that you love?
Yeah, so I mean, I have to say, we've developed some of, like I said, we've developed some of them on our own and some of them in partnership with other brands. The ones that we have available on site right now, these Pros aromas. So Pros, they work with a team of perfumers in France, in Paris, to develop their fragrances. So their fragrances are just incredible, you know?
Nice.
And so the Pros aromas are really amazing. And when we launched the aroma diffuser earlier this year in August, that was when we launched our signature collection of aromas. Unwind is part of the signature collection, but we also did a little trio called Sanctuary, which was like a sort of a little drop that we did when we launched the aroma diffuser. And there's an aroma in that one called Suede Smoke, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a sort of
Ooh,
smoky, almost has like a Palo Santo vibe to it. It's very sultry, and that's one of my favorites as well. But the entire collection is really great, and we have something for everybody. And you can also subscribe when you buy the humidifier or the diffuser. You can subscribe easily to get new filters, and also every 6 weeks to get a new aroma kit that we deliver to you as a surprise. So we
oh,
keep
that's a
you,
great gift.
yeah, totally.
Now
So we
we're
keep you
we're we're like we're
fresh
in
with
the
your,
holidays right now. Like
yes.
if we were to order this, can we still get this in time for the holidays? I know there, supply chain issues are real.
Yes, I think definitely I would say act fast, but we have some great holiday bundles available on the website that are super giftable. And so visit us now, getcanopy.co, and act fast for the holidays.
I also want to say, you know what this is a great gift for, is new parents, right? So if you've got a baby and your products, I know pediatricians have actually come out and supported your product as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we also collaborated with the baby brand Lalo
Okay.
to develop a set of aromas for the nursery. All natural aromas, totally safe for diffusing for adults or for babies. And we developed two aromas with them as well. So we have a nursery set with the humidifier
Oh,
that's great for babies.
for the humid, but yeah, I was talking about the humidifier.
Yeah, yeah.
Specifically great for babies because you're not going to have that hot steam. You don't have to worry, gosh forbid. Um, The other thing I just want to point out to this, these are so nice and compact that they fit on a windowsill, right? So like not your tiny, tiny ones, but being a New Yorker, like we've got limited space. This is great. You can see right now I have, this is my work desk. So you can have it right next to you, which is probably not a bad thing.
Mm.
A nightstand it fits on. I think that everything about this has been so well thought of. What do you think is kind of sort of next? Are you working on other things?
Yeah, we are working on a ton. So the mission at Canopy is to optimize the home for beauty and wellness. We found when we looked into the space that there are so many devices in the home that could be supporting your beauty and your wellness routine, but the existing products on the market are not designed with that wellness focused person in mind. And so we're going to continue to roll out devices for the home that are going to make your home like more of a haven for your
Right.
beauty and for your wellness. And also, we're a design first company as well. Design led products. So just in the same way that people have really loved the design of the humidifier and the aroma diffuser, we're always going to design something really beautiful for your home, something that you're proud to have out and when your guests come over, as opposed to what we heard about the humidifiers before we launched was that a lot of people will look for places to like hide them in the room because they're just so unattractive. So the brand
Like
is all
there's
about,
an air filter over there that I'm like, I don't even know
right.
where to put this or what to do with this.
Yeah,
Because it's big and clunky.
right. So we're working our way through all these devices in the home, and we're going to make them really the best from a feature standpoint for the beauty and wellness customer, and we're going to make them really beautiful.
Eric, it has been so great to have you here. Before we go, I do want to touch on some things that people might be surprised about that I'm thinking about when we were chatting. If you wake up with dry mouth, bad breath is something that can happen. Get a humidifier. You're going to notice a huge difference. For all my fashionistas out there, if you suffer from static cling, adding humidity into the water or adding humidity into the air is going to seriously help with that. Right? We don't have static
Absolutely.
in the summer. We have it in the winter.
Exactly. The dry air, the lack of moisture in the air is what's going to make your clothes staticky. And we were chatting before. I mean, it can just ruin the whole look, right? You've got your whole outfit ready to go, and then the static, can kind of put literally a damper on everything. So.
I mean, or you have like a random sock that like you don't realize is like stuck to the back of your coat. I mean, these things happen here. I was trying to think of there was a couple other random things that I was thinking, oh, if you suffer from nosebleeds, that's a big one. I have like a lot of people in the winter who are like, I wake up, I blow my nose and it's a bloody nose. It's because there's not enough humidity in the air.
Too dry. And I'm going to throw one more in there that people might not know. So having increased humidity inside also decreases the transmission of viruses indoors. And so I don't know about you, but before COVID, I didn't know anything about the droplets, and that's how viruses are transmitted. This was news to me, but now everybody I think knows about this. And what happens is when there's more moisture in the air, the moisture binds to those droplets and makes them heavier so that they fall to the ground more quickly and they can't travel as far. So that's another benefit of having the humidifier running all the time.
Amazing, right? So not just our beauty, which I mean, obviously, hello, it's cool. You're like me, vanity first. Totally get that.
Yeah.
There's health reasons for this. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I know I'm sorry that I was like a little bit of a fangirl. I'm not sorry, but I was a fangirl because I'm so passionate about this. If you don't have a humidifier, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. I will say that Canopy, I think, is one that I'm standing behind. We're not sponsored here. That I just stand behind the design. I just stand behind the fact that it works. If people want to know more about this, if they want to get this, or one of the aroma diffusers, where should they go?
Yeah, come right to our site, getcanopy.co. You can follow us on Instagram at get.canopy and learn everything about us. But yeah, please come and let us know what you think. We always want our customers' feedback, so that we can just keep being better and putting the best products out there. But all the devices and the aromas are available on our site.
Amazing. I want to thank you so much. Again, keep in mind, guys, great gift. This is a great gift for anybody. That person you don't know what to get them this. It's absolutely adorable. And it's something that's going to make them feel better, look better. It's an all-around win in my better. Be better, be bold. Thank you for being on with us today.
Thanks, Amber. This was so much fun. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate having you. And if you at home have any questions you want me to pass on to Eric or the Canopy team, I'm always happy to do that. You can write to me at hello@artbeautypodcast. You can follow us on Instagram, social, and right here on YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.